Welcome back to Digital Wandering, and I'm coming back today with my 2007 MacBook, and as you see, it's on Mac OS 10.6.8. This is Snow Leopard, has 4 gigabytes of RAM, and I wanted to revisit this device performance on the internet. Now, last time I did a deep dive on this device was in November of 2020, and I felt that it's a time for a refresh here, so we can just show how this device performs on the internet. So, because now we're in July of 2021, so I have multiple browsers here, and I wanted to show how these browsers perform. And we want to start off with the default browser, the browser that it comes with, Safari. Now this is an old version of Safari now, from 2013. But I've made some changes with this version of Safari. Is that I now have the ability to change the user agent. In the past, I just kept it as desktop, that's the default. But in order to change the user agent, you have to access this menu option here, which is called Develop, which isn't active automatically. You have to go into Settings, and let's just go back here. You see it has user agent. So right now we're at the default. And that's desktop, Safari desktop. That's going to be the default. And let's just show how you activate that, because otherwise, without the ability to change user agent, it's going to affect your ability to access certain websites like YouTube. Now, in the past, I have a video on the channel which I showed that on this old version of Safari, if you are able to access the mobile version of YouTube, that you can still use YouTube on this old version of Safari. The problem is that if you don't have access to the user agent, changing the user agent, if it's under the default desktop version, when you click on YouTube, you'll get an error message where it'll tell you to please update your browser. And you can't really get around this. I was able, for my previous video, I was able to brute force my way into the YouTube mobile website, even though I was still under a desktop user agent. But I'm having trouble replicating that. So even though, if you look here, I have the mobile version of YouTube actually bookmarked here, but when I click on it, it will redirect me to the desktop version. So it starts off with mobile, but it redirects me because I'm under the desktop user agent, and I'm having trouble brute forcing it my way through to the mobile. So you want to access this menu option here. This is for developers, but it's not accessible by default. So let me show you how to access that here in Safari. What you need to do is go to the Safari menu option, and go to Preferences. And under Preferences, and I'm already there under Advanced. When you open it up, you might be under General, but if you go to Advanced, and there's an option here, there's a checkbox here, Show Develop Menu and Menu Bar. And let's just see how it disappears when I uncheck it. So when you open up, go to Advanced, check this box, and now you'll have the Develop Menu option here, and then you can go to User Agent. And let's just see when we do that, and then we're going to go to Safari iOS 4.3 0.3 iPad. Now, Safari 4 was released in 2010, so this is old. Look at this. Your browser is now up to date. You can use YouTube's latest features. So now we changed the user agent. I can now go to the mobile version of YouTube, and these videos are accessible. So it gives us the ability to use YouTube. I'm not signed into YouTube here, so I don't know how much YouTube's general features are available. So I can view videos here, but could you manage a YouTube channel from this? I'm not sure. But let's just show what the playback is. And I've shown mobile playback on YouTube previously, but we'll just do it again now that I've also had the opportunity to show how to change the user agent. And we'll just click on this video here. No thanks. Turn off autoplay. I hate autoplay. There you go. That is enough here. So that's YouTube's performance by changing the user agent. We already started at Apple. Apple, you're gonna, if you're trying to access Apple, you really want to use a modern browser or a browser that is fairly up to date. It's still accessible on these old versions of Mac OS, but you lose most of the elements. And this is what it showed back in 2020, so there hasn't been really a change there. Wikipedia is still accessible. Now it's coming up as the mobile version of Wikipedia, but it doesn't really matter. If we change the user agent back to desktop, it will also be accessible under the desktop version of Safari. So Wikipedia is still accessible either desktop or mobile. So that's still holding up. I know under older versions, back like macOS 10.4, Wikipedia is not accessible under the browser, I believe under any conditions. It's just, the browser is just too old. But under Safari, you can still access Wikipedia. Wikipedia is still very important web page. So it's one of the web pages that, if I still have access to Wikipedia, I still feel like the web page or the browser is still useful. All right, so now we're going to try the New York Times here. Let's see if we're able to access the New York Times. Now this page is fairly unusable here from the desktop. This is also I believe what it showed back in 2010. From the desktop, all the content is pushed over to the far right, so that you don't have access to anything on the front page. But the sections, like we'll just go to World here, they are formatted a lot better. So if you click on individual sections, you can access articles. And that hasn't really changed since 2020 November. Now back then I also tried a lot of social media websites to see how accessible they were, and I used the actress Tracee Ellis Ross because she has all the social media pages, so it makes it easy for me to access a lot of different pages here just by using her as a search term. Instagram will not be accessible no matter the user agent. From my experience, you can pull up a page, but no content appears. Now she has Twitter here. Let's see, where is her Twitter link? Normally these things comes up on the first page. I don't see her Twitter for some reason. Oh, here it is right here. When I'm doing these videos, I always miss the content here. Now, look at this. The Twitter, back in November of 2020, what Twitter would do, it would redirect users who are on old browsers to the mobile version of the site. Now, it tried to do that here. And actually, this is the mobile page, but it lets us know now that it's no longer supported. So previously, you could use the mobile version of Twitter under Snow Leopard to access Twitter content, but that no longer works. Facebook used to do the same thing. It would give you the mobile version of the website, and actually is still doing that. So you can still access mobile Facebook, although it doesn't give you access to much in the way of content here. So this is not how a Facebook page would look, and it's asking me to sign in. And but see how there's almost no content here that you're able to access. Yeah, it's showing you the bare minimum content, so you're barely able to access Facebook here. Let's look at Amazon and how Amazon is holding up under Snow Leopard. So Amazon is still accessible. I'm not sure how functional this is. Again, most of the time when I'm showing these browser tests, I don't actually sign into any accounts. So I'm just looking to see if I can navigate web pages here. Still seems to be fairly functional. As far as searching goes, I wouldn't be surprised if I could sign into an account. But on individual product pages, especially for movies, for whatever reason, it's really difficult. As a lot of the content, again, is pushed over to the right. So it's really hard to use this in any capacity. Let's see here. I'm just looking for the buy button here, and I don't even see it. Let's see. The formatting is so unusual. All right, let's see if we can find the buy button. If anything, the formatting has got. Oh, here it is. It took a long time to find it, but so you have to search all over the page. So, is this still functional? It might be. Let's see if we could click on one of these, the rent button, to see what happens. It's probably going to unknown error occurs. That's not a good sign. Now it's refreshing for some reason. So okay, that's Amazon. Still accessible as a web page, but the functionality and the formatting is really bad. Let's go to eBay. Okay, now this is so that's telling us right now that there's probably some security issues here. As far as this old browser attempting to connect to eBay. Almost all the photos, product photos, are not here. They're not showing up. Let's see if we can pull up a product here. A lot of the product images are not showing up, and I think in November 2020 they were still there. If I remember correctly, the formatting was way off, but as we're seeing here, there's a lot of missing elements, but the product pages or the product results, they still showed images back then. So I'm guessing that this is not that functional. None of the product pictures are showing up right now. And this is under desktop. Let's see if we can change that user agent, because I think it's actually worse under iOS. Let's just go back here. Just want to make sure that user agent has been changed. Yes, it has. Oh, okay. It looks pretty much the same under this user agent. Let me see under iPhone. And under iPod Touch. So there's some mild changes when you change the user agent. I'm just curious to see if we, I think I'm under iPod Touch right now. Let's just see if we can pull up product info. Yeah, so eBay is really struggling here no matter what the user agent we try. I think desktop is maybe marginally better, but they all are fairly bad, and it doesn't seem like this is fairly functional or usable. Let's try another website here, CNN. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting here is that CNN looks pretty good right now. But I recently tried to access CNN under Safari, and it didn't show me any content. So that's another thing that's really frustrating when you're using these old browsers, is that the results change so often. One day it may work and one day it may not. So that's why I always suggest, if you have the ability to do so, is to, I just wanted to see if we change it to iPad and if there's any difference here. It didn't change at all. And a lot of times when you're within the same session, even when you change user agents, the results will be different if it's a different session as opposed to the same session, or if you refresh the page or back out of the page and go back in. So yeah, there's been some changes here. I think the main one here is Twitter not being accessible no matter the user agent. The others are still holding on for the most part. eBay has definitely dropped, I would say. So, I mean, this is what it is. When you're using an old browser, at any time you can lose functionality. Functionality is going to be bad. Once you get outside the first few years of it not being supported, you're going to lose a lot of functionality. Once you get beyond the 5th year, The first few years are the honeymoon period where things are still running pretty well. And I'm going to show that here because we got Google Chrome. Now, Google Chrome back in 2020, I would say that it was one of the best browsers that I used under Snow Leopard. We have newer browsers here that we will get to that were still under development at the time, but the results were very similar to Chrome. Now, this version of Chrome is the version that supports 10.6, 10.7, and 10.8. Google Chrome dropped those 3 operating systems all at once. So this is a version from like late 2016, which you can still get from Google. If you have a machine that runs one of these operating systems, if you go to Google and attempt to download Chrome, it will default to this version and allow you to download it in 2021. I've tried this as recently as a few months ago in an app. And I have a video here on 10.7 that I did recently in 2021. And that was the last time I actually downloaded this version of Chrome. But this version of Chrome was really still extremely productive up until recently. And one of the things is, and I'm not really sure how to change the user agent here. I'll have to look that up online. So this is still just the normal Chrome desktop user agent, but we're having some casualties that have recently occurred in 2021. Again, this version of Chrome was still extremely functional on all the major websites that I would test. And now we're just starting off with YouTube. And let's see how it works here. It's taking a long time. It's still loading. And we'll see what the results are. Okay, that's great. So it was able to load, but I'm going to tell you that it's really struggling right now with YouTube. And as the time of this video, July 2021, there are going to be times when you're not going to be able to access YouTube. As you see, it's really struggling. In a very recent attempt, I wasn't able to access YouTube at all under this version of Chrome. So I wouldn't be surprised if sometime this year, at least under desktop, where YouTube will be entirely inaccessible. Let's just try this video, and I just want to see what the video playback is like.
Film Degrees at Full Sail University puts the tools in your hands to develop your artistic vision.
This is very comforting here because the previous time I attempted to access YouTube, I wasn't able to access it at all, and it is working just fine right now. So that's really great. Let's skip this. And it's playing videos fairly well. But it's getting very finicky. Let's just see if we can go full screen. It says I'm in full screen, but I'm not. Okay, there we go. So, took a while, but we're there now. Let's just exit full screen.
Videos are unscripted. This is the way I am most comfortable doing my videos, so they occasionally can be mistaken.
Okay, so that is YouTube. Let's just go, and I'm bouncing around randomly. My videos are unscripted, so we just let things happen as they happen. Let's just go to Amazon and see what we can see here. Okay, now this is much better, as you can see. Much better. This looks very much as you would expect it on a modern browser. Let's go to a little deeper level here. Let's see if we can look at that same film. Let's see what the again, this is from 2016. Safari version that we showed earlier is from, look how different this is. The version of Safari we showed earlier is from 2013. This is Google Chrome from 2016, and look at this. Still loading here. I think it just completed the loading process, but you can see how much different this is. Now something just happened here that was weird. Okay, there we go. So this is much better. And I'm really kind of surprised because the quality of this browser, which was fairly rock solid until recently, was nothing like this on my last attempt. So I'm very encouraged to see how this is holding up right now. And now, as you see, we're on the front page of the New York Times. And everything is displaying fairly well. And this is really one of the better results that I had from the front page of the New York Times, even on this version of Chrome. Now, you see there's some missing elements, but I think the last time I tested this, it was more missing elements in here. You see, it looks like all the images are showing up. It seems like this is probably an ad. That's not showing up. But the front page, as compared to the way it looks in Safari, is night and day. Night and day. Now in Safari, we're able to use these individual sections to access content. You can do that here too, but you also are able to access content on the front page of the website. So that's excellent. So still holding up as far as this demo is, but as I said, as I tried this recently, and now look at this, it's not allowing me to access eBay for some reason. So this browser is not able to, let me see if I can, if I click on a link from, I don't think this should be any difference. Yeah. Yeah, so eBay is not accessible at all from Google Chrome, at least right now. So that's another issue here with the security of the of these browsers. I mean, this is from 2016, last update here for this version of Chrome. So the security level of this browser hasn't changed in 5 years. And although most of the most websites will allow you to connect, let's see if Instagram is still accessible here from this version of Chrome. Now in 2020 it was, and it looks like it still is, although it gives you a message here that says this browser is no longer supported. It still is allowing us to pull up content here. So Instagram is 100% not accessible from the 2013 version of Safari, but still holding on. We got a Wikipedia result for this actress, and it obviously will work here. And we're still under the desktop version of this. So I haven't changed any user agent, but we haven't had to because it's still allowing us to access pages here under the desktop version of this old version of Chrome. Pleasantly surprised that it's still allowing us to access Twitter here. Where in 2020, Safari, in November of 2020, it defaulted to the mobile version of Twitter. It would not allow us to access the desktop version of Twitter. And now it doesn't allow us to access any version of Twitter under Safari, under Snow Leopard. But we can still access the desktop version of Twitter here under this version of Chrome. And let's just see about Facebook. We could access Facebook under the mobile version of the Safari, but it didn't give us access to much content. Now, let's see what happens here under Facebook, this version of Facebook. And as you see, we have access to content here. So I'm really curious if anyone out there who's using Snow Leopard, are they showing the same results that I'm showing? If they're using Chrome or Safari, because, okay, so we just had a crash here. Let's see if we can try to pull up some results for CNN. CNN was still looking fairly good under Safari. One thing you may also hear is that the fans are starting to, and we still see CNN still looks good here. I want to try an alternate search engine, which I use quite a bit. We've got DuckDuckGo. And let's just try for Apple and see what happens here. So you do have the option also using another search engine. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, I want to go back to Safari for a second here. And let's just try DuckDuckGo under Safari. So I just want to jump back here and let's look up Apple. And one thing you will notice here, under DuckDuckGo, under Chrome, and Safari, under Safari, it gives us search results, but it doesn't give us any other options here. Under Chrome, 2016 version of Chrome, we get images, videos, news, maps, the whole deal. So you can still use DuckDuckGo here, but it's a degraded experience. Only search results under Safari, but at least it's still accessible, which is surprising. But how long that will be in the 2013 version of Safari, we do not know. But yeah, I just wanted to show this under, these are probably the main web browsers that I use when I under Snow Leopard, but we have others here. And the video is getting super long, but you should know that from clicking on it because the time is right there in front of you. I got Firefox here. Firefox, I guess this is 48.01. Oh no, look at that, 47.0.1 is the version of Firefox that we have here. This is also from 2016. And we have the DuckDuckGo search engine here. Results look fairly much like it would look under Chrome. Let's try eBay here, as we can still access eBay from, your connection is not secure. So security settings of these old browsers, it will not allow us to access eBay from these browsers that are 2016 or older. Not working. Let's look at Amazon here. And we can see Amazon still looks fairly good here. Fairly similar to what you would get under Chrome. And we're going to just go along here. See what we can see. Let's see if we can get onto Instagram here from Firefox 2016. It is thinking about it, and it is pulling up Instagram, so that's cool. Wikipedia will work, no problem. And let's see, where is her Twitter? There it is. Yeah, celebrities that are on every social media platform are just so much easier. And now I'm looking for her Facebook, which should be somewhere near the top. If I did not, anytime I'm doing these videos, I always miss it. Let's see here. Where is Tracee's Facebook? You people watching at home may have already seen it if I just skipped over it. Oh, here it is, right here. Right in front of me. Okay. Now this looks like Safari. It's giving us the mobile version and only a few results. So it's fairly similar with what you receive in Safari. She has TikTok. I'm curious to see if her TikTok. I don't think TikTok is accessible here under these old browsers. Oh, look at that. I am pleasantly surprised. Will we get any video content? There's no video content here. Let's see. I'm copying that, and let's just see if we can go to Chrome and see if TikTok is available. Still loading. Wow, the fans on this laptop are really kicking in. You probably hear that. So you can access the page, but no content under TikTok. Going back to Firefox, we're just going to look at New York Times. And let's see what it does here. Front page is accessible, and we get most of the content. So that's really nice. Now these are all old browsers that you would have used way back when, 5 or more years ago, that we are showing so far. But there are other browsers here that were more recently under development that we can try to check out as well. So the other browsers that we have here, well, we're going to first go to TenFourFox. Now, this was a version of TenFourFox that was designed for Intel, access on Intel computers. And this was never under continual development. So this is like from 2018. So it's been essentially stuck in place since that time. And we know now that even the TenFourFox for PowerPC, which has been under development for like 10 years, that is coming to an end later this year, I believe in October 2021. Some of that information was on the page that I just, the tab that I just canceled. So it's really an end of an era, especially for PowerPC users who have been using TenFourFox for as long as a decade. Now this version that works for Intel, it is more modern, more recent than the other browsers that we've shown so far. And let's just look how it uses, or how it handles the Apple website. And we've only shown the Apple website so far on Safari. Let me go back to Chrome for a second here. And let's try apple.com. So this is 2016 Chrome that we have here. Apple website, it still looks fairly decent here. I think some of the elements are off. Some of the formatting is off. But when you compare it to how Safari handled it at the beginning of the video, and also how TenFourFox handles it, yeah, I'm thinking that the formatting is off here, but it still is fairly satisfactory as comparison to Safari. Let's just X out of Chrome here. And you're going to see here, let's just see if eBay is accessible at all from this 2018 version of TenFourFox from Intel. It is not. I think in large parts, this is not going to be that much different than what you see under the 2016 version of Chrome and the 2016 version of Firefox as far as usability. So although this is more recent, a lot of what you see is not going to be that much different. Now, there could be a lot of things from a technical perspective that I'm not really that familiar with, where you may want to prefer this 2018 browser over something from 2016. But from a usability standpoint, the results are very similar here. Wikipedia works on everything on here, so that is still the main plus. Let's see what Instagram does on TenFourFox. Still loading here. Okay, so we'll just run through this here. Let's see. Twitter. Okay, and this is also the desktop version of Twitter here. And her Facebook. It comes up with the mobile version of Facebook. So if I'm remembering things correctly, the only Chrome is still able to, as the browsers we've shown so far. Now I just tried to go to YouTube here, and I ran into an issue here with YouTube where it's asking me to please update my browser. Now on Chrome, we're still able to pull up YouTube, the desktop version of YouTube. At least today we were. Now the thing is, I'm not really sure how to change user agent in Chrome. We don't have to right now, but you can change the user agent in TenFourFox. I just have to remember where to go to do that. And is it under security advanced? I think it's under here. Where is the user agent? General certificates. Search. Privacy. Here we go. So it's under TenFourFox. Okay, so user agent, TenFourFox default. Let's go to iOS Safari. And let's go back to YouTube and see what happens. Okay, so now by changing the user agent, it's bringing up the mobile version of YouTube, and that allows us to access videos. Just for sake of time, I just want to pull up a random video as opposed to pulling up my channel. Oh, look at that. I cannot play the video. So although I can access, so we can access this, but playing the video is another issue entirely. So it probably requires some additional things here in order to access video on this browser. I'm not sure what the issue is. Yeah, it's not allowing me to play videos here. So the user agent is the first part, but doing other things here I'm not really sure about. One of the things that you do, and one of the reasons why, so we have the user agent change now, so the results look a little different. Coming up as the mobile version. But I think this gives you a great examples of different things that you can do with this version of the Mac OS. You do have to jump around quite a bit, and we do have one more browser that we want to show. Now this browser is really important because it is the most recent browser that's been under development that I have on this machine. So there's other browsers out there. The great place to look is on the MacRumors forum to find out. Go under the Power PC section and also the section for early Intels. And you can find out a lot of different things that people are doing to keep these machines functional on the modern web. Now this version of Arctic Fox that I have here, I believe it's from October 2020. Yeah, this is the version that we have. 27.11.0. Now, this is a fork of the Pale Moon browser, and the Pale Moon browser, as I had a video where I talk about this, where they ended Mac support. So I'm not sure if there's going to be any additional versions of Arctic Fox, but since it's from October 2020, this is the browser that has the most recent development, and we can see that how it operates. Now, in the past, I would say that Chrome's rendering of pages was about as good as this browser as well. And as you see in this version of DuckDuckGo, it's not like the Safari version. It gives you results like you would receive on a modern or current browser. But let's look at what Apple looks like here under Arctic Fox. So it looks very similar to what we saw on the other more recent 2016 or later browsers. One thing I'm really curious about here is the website that we've had a lot of issues with. And the funny thing is, Safari has given us the greatest results so far with eBay, because at the very least we can access eBay under Safari. But and it is, and look at this. So this is definitely the best overall. Where the other browsers were giving us security issues with eBay, this is giving us the modern version of eBay. So let's look at a result here for the same type of computer that we're using here. MacBook 2007. And look at this. This shows you having a more recent browser, what it does. You can still have a really good experience using some of the older browsers, but there are going to be individual websites that just, because of security issues, formatting issues, they just won't function well or function at all on certain websites. But so this is the value of having a more recent version of a web browser, what you see right here. And I'm going through so many websites here. Some of the browsers or some sites I haven't checked on each and every one of the browsers, so I do apologize about that, but I'm trying to get as much into this video as possible. Let's see what yeah, it's not giving me any access to content. It's asking that I log in, and that's not happening here. I'm not logging in. So that's a disappointment because we can't really see how the page rendering is. I'm gonna go to let's just copy that and go to Google. See something real quick here. Okay, one of the reasons why I wanted to pull up the Google results is because on the first page we'll have access to most of the social media pages. And this is actually the desktop version of Facebook that we have here under Arctic Fox. So that's a major plus. Let's see about Twitter. I'm assuming this will be the desktop version of Twitter. I've looked at so many browsers today, I'm having trouble keeping track. What browser did what? But over time, Arctic Fox is definitely, I would say, coming out ahead. Although Chrome is still holding together fairly well. Now we just went to YouTube, and YouTube is now allowing access using the desktop version. So that is a bad sign. So though Arctic Fox, the version that we have here is the most up-to-date browser that we have on Snow Leopard, is still giving error messages here. Also, let's want to see if any of these browsers can access TikTok. All the kids love TikTok nowadays, and let's just see if it can access it here and actually see content, not just accessing the page. And it doesn't look like it. So yeah, one of the things I do want to say is that you really want to have a large number of browsers. Look at this. It gives us one of the TikTok videos in, yeah, it's not pulling up at all. One of the TikTok videos came up in the search results. The video, okay. I was saying if I could access it through that link, and maybe it would still play, even though it didn't play from the front page of the profile. That didn't work. Also on Arctic Fox, you can change the user agent. So we're going to look at doing that to see if that allows us to reach YouTube. So Wikipedia again works on everything. New York Times, let's just see that real quick. And then we'll look at changing the user agent here. I'm assuming that we'll have a great access to the front page here. And this has been fairly consistent. Safari is the only one that's really having difficulty accessing pages or the front page of New York Times. We haven't. I don't think we've looked at Amazon here on this browser. We have tried eBay. I'm assuming Amazon will be very nice here. And as you can see right here, right from the main page, the home page of Amazon, everything looks really good. In this video that we've shown multiple times, or this movie that we've shown multiple times, and everything looks great. Let's change that user agent here. Let's go to preferences. Now here it is, Firefox compatibility. Okay. Let's see Gecko compatibility. Let's see if that makes a difference here. Yeah, there we go. So changing it to Gecko compatibility allows us to access YouTube. And assuming, now previously I didn't feel like pulling up my channel. Let's just let's see here.
Welcome back to Digital Wandering. And today I wanted to talk about...
There we go. So okay, that gives us YouTube access. I've gone through so many pages here. Did I forget a page that I want to check out here? Oh, this video is still fairly long. We're at about an hour right now. But I think this is a fairly thorough view of the different browsers that you can use under Snow Leopard. The results that I have today are actually fairly encouraging because I've done tests recently and Chrome, it really performed a lot better today than I have seen it in a very recent past within the last week. So that's the one issue you're going to have with these old browsers, that the performance is going to change over time as these browsers degrade. They don't degrade in like in a straight line. It's a lot of peaks and valleys in there, and sometimes you're going to be able to access a page and sometimes you will not be able to do. Changing the user agents or changing other things and how you're accessing the internet can make a big difference. But these are extreme security risks to use these old systems. So in general, I would suggest not to use old systems like this because it is such a security risk. They haven't been updated for so long. Using these as your main systems, some people don't have a choice, and if this is the computer that you have to get the most out of it. I definitely understand that. If you have the possibility of using, especially for very sensitive data, it's best not to use these old systems. If you're just using them for fun like I do, and this is what I use these computers for at this time, there's a lot of nostalgia. This is my first computer ever. So there's a lot of nostalgia around. I mean, it's 14 years later. It still works pretty good. But I don't have to use it as my main system because I have a computer, a MacBook right now that's running Big Sur, and it will get Monterey. So that's my main go-to. But these systems are still capable to do a lot of things on the current internet. And if you're using them to access software and applications from the time when these machines were still fairly new, they could still perform really well, especially if your device is still in good working condition. And this one is still in good working condition. I have done upgrades with them. I added a solid state drive. This came with a mechanical hard drive, and I put a solid state drive in here, and I increased the amount of the memory and did some other things. The bezels that you have here were all replaced. The bezel around here, I replaced this, I guess, a couple of years ago. This was all cracked. The bezels were all cracked, and which is very common with this, or cracking, because this is made of plastic. And using it, and it's a mobile device, so you're going to put it in the bag, you're going to take it with you. And I use this heavy for the 3.5 years, I guess. Was it about 3.5 years? I use this as my main computer. I drag this around all over the place, and it's probably had more wear and tear than any other machine that I had. So I was very happy to be able to do some upgrades on it, and it's still able to use it up until today. But it's going to be really interesting because I'm going to stay on top of this and continue to do updates with this. I don't know if I'll do another update in 2021, but that's a possibility. Definitely we'll do another update in 2022. So we'll see how this is still holding up. But I'm really, really encouraged, even with the ability to change the user agent, which I wasn't doing previously on Safari. That helps to bring back a little bit of functionality, especially on YouTube. So I do want to thank you very much for watching. It's a really long video, but I had a great time making it, and I do want to thank you very much for watching. This is Digital Wandering signing off.